Hi, welcome to English Hamster. Are you learning English? Great. Here we learn through stories. They are simple and interesting. You can improve English while learning knowledge. Remember to subscribe, like and comment. Let's get started.
Learning English is not just about studying a language. Sometimes it can bring unexpected results and even change your life. Today, we are going to tell a story about a poor boy who became a millionaire because he learned English. Let's begin. Hi everybody, my name is Marco. I didn't grow up in a rich country. I didn't live in a rich house. My family was small and our dreams were even smaller. When I was 18, I couldn't even say hello in English properly. My words were broken like glass on the floor. My sentences were messy, like a puzzle with missing pieces. When I spoke, people didn't understand me. They didn't just smile, they laughed. Even my cousins laughed. Even my best friend didn't believe in me. I felt like a bird with wings but no sky, but deep inside me something was burning. A tiny fire, soft but strong. It whispered to me, "You are meant for something more." This is my story. I am not a superhero. I didn't win the lottery. I didn't become famous overnight. I was just a normal boy from a forgotten town trying to learn one simple skill: how to speak English well. That one skill became the key that opened all the doors. If you ever feel small, if you feel like your English is not good enough, if people ignore you or laugh when you speak, then this story is for you. Because this story is not just about learning English. It's about standing up when the world pushes you down. It's about finding your voice when everything tells you to stay silent. It's about freedom. Let me take you back to where everything began. I was born in a small, noisy town in the south of my country. Our house was made of wood and metal. When the rain came, water danced through our roof. We had to move our clothes, our pillows, even the rice. My father drove a small bus called a jeepney. My mother sold vegetables and bananas at the market. At home, we didn't speak a word of English. In fact, we didn't even have a TV. In school, I was the quiet boy sitting at the back. Not because I was shy, but because I didn't understand a thing when the teacher used English. I felt like she was speaking to the clouds, not to me. I failed English in grade 4. Again in grade 7. One day, my teacher asked me to read one sentence from a book. I stood up. I looked at the page. The words started dancing and shaking. My hands felt like jelly. I couldn't even say Wednesday. Everyone laughed. Even the teacher smiled a little. That day, something inside me broke. After that, I kept my eyes down. I never raised my hand. I hated English. And worse, I started to hate myself. At 16, I tried to get a summer job at a small cafe for tourists. The owner looked at me kindly and said, "You seem smart, but your English is too weak. Tourists will not understand you." He was polite, but his words felt like stones on my heart. That night, I sat on the roof of our house. The stars were watching me, but I couldn't smile back. I asked myself, is this my life? Will I always be poor just because I can't speak one language? And then it hit me. It was never just about English. It was about the world. It was about going beyond my small town. If I could learn this language, I could open a door and walk into a bigger world. A world where I could understand more, do more, be more. That night changed everything for me. The next day, I went to my cousin and asked if I could borrow his old dictionary. It was full of missing pages and torn corners, but to me, it was gold. I sat in silence for hours, writing down new words like dream, freedom, and confidence. I didn't know what they really meant, but I could feel their power. I practiced fake conversations with myself in front of the mirror. Hello, my name is Marco. How are you? I am learning English. It took me one full week just to say that without shaking. I listened to English songs, not because I liked the music, but because I wanted to catch every word. I would pause the music, rewind it, write the lyrics, and look up the meanings. One line from a song stayed in my heart like a tattoo. There's nothing you can't do if you believe in you. I believed those words more than I believed in myself. My family didn't understand me. My cousin once laughed and said, "You think you'll become rich by learning English. Even people with college degrees have no job." He wasn't wrong, but I kept going because something inside me had changed. My dream had started to grow. One day, I saw a post online. A traveler from the UK was visiting our country and wanted to meet locals. I replied in broken English. He corrected me, but he was kind. That became my first real conversation with a foreigner. I made 100 mistakes in just 10 minutes, but guess what? He didn't care, he just smiled and said, "Thanks for talking with me." That day, I learned something important. English is not about being perfect. It's about making a connection. It's about sharing something real, even if your words are not. That small moment gave me new fire in my heart. I started talking to strangers online. Some ignored me. Some helped me. One kind woman even gave me a free online course to learn spoken English. I studied that course like my life depended on it. Because in some way it did, but life has its own plans. Just when I started feeling better, something terrible happened. My father had a stroke. I had to leave school. I had to work full-time in a hardware store to help pay the bills. My dream felt like a balloon that flew away. I worked from 7:00 a.m. to 7:00 p.m. I lifted heavy boxes. I cleaned toilets. I counted nails and screws, and I said nothing. I just did my job in silence in my native language, full of frustration. But life is funny. Sometimes it gives you one small moment that changes everything. One day, a tourist came into the store. He was looking for a special tool. No one understood him, but I did. I had heard that word before in a song, screwdriver. I walked up to him and said, "Yes, sir, screwdriver is here." He looked surprised and smiled. "Your English is good," he said. In that small moment, my heart jumped. My eyes wanted to cry. For the first time in years, I felt something warm inside. Hope. After the tourist said, "Your English is good," my world didn't suddenly become bright. No fairy godmother came. No gold coins fell from the sky. The store stayed the same, the boxes stayed heavy, and my body still ached every night. But something deep inside me changed. It was like someone had opened a small window in a dark room. I walked home that evening, my shirt soaked in sweat, my shoes dusty, but my heart glowing. I whispered to myself, "Marco, this is your first sign. You are not crazy. Your dream is not foolish. You can do this." But there was still a mountain in front of me. I had no time, no money, no phone with internet, no books. I was tired after every long day at work. Sometimes my body felt like an old bicycle that couldn't move anymore, so I made a simple plan, just 10 minutes a day, just a little English no matter how tired I was. But at night, my eyes closed before I could even open a book. So I made a new decision. I would wake up before the world did. At 4:00 a.m., the sky was still black. The world was asleep, dreaming, but I sat on a plastic chair in the corner of our house. No fan, no light, only a candle, an old notebook, and a grammar book I bought at the flea market. My desk was a piece of wood. My chair was broken. The mosquitoes buzzed like tiny airplanes near my ears. It was not easy. Sometimes I didn't understand a single sentence. Some mornings I wanted to throw the book across the room, but I kept coming back because every word I learned was like planting a seed. And one day, I believed those seeds would grow into something beautiful. There was one night I'll never forget. I came home after a hard day and I saw my mother crying. We didn't have enough money for my father's medicine. My heart felt like a cracked mirror. I ran into my room, closed the door, and shouted, "Why am I doing this? Why am I learning English? Nothing is changing. We are still poor. I am still useless." I punched the wall. I fell to the floor. I cried so hard my face hurt. But the next morning I opened my notebook. The page I wrote the day before had one line. "Don't stop now. You're already in pain. Use it." That line saved me. It was like a rope pulling me out of deep water, so I didn't stop. A few days later, at the grocery store, I saw a flyer. Internet cafe, only 15 pesos per hour. That was cheap, but still a lot for me. I had never used a computer before, but I knew this was a door, so I pushed it open. The cafe was dark and hot. The computers were old and slow. But when I sat in front of the screen, it felt like I was holding the sun in my hands. I typed, "How to speak English fluently." And boom, a new world opened: videos, forums, free lessons, practice websites. It was like I had walked into a magic library. I couldn't stop smiling. I started going every weekend. 1 hour. Sometimes 2. That was all I could afford. But I used that time like gold. I created an email account. I joined English learning groups on Facebook. I watched videos about pronunciation. One time, I spent 3 whole days just learning how to say the word comfortable because I always said it wrong: comfortably. I copied accents. I wrote fake emails to practice. I watched TED Talks with subtitles. I paused after every sentence and spoke along. My coworkers laughed at me. They said, "Why are you wasting time learning English? You're not going anywhere." But I was going. They just couldn't see it yet. One day, I saw a post from a woman in New Zealand. She wrote, "I want to help English learners. Send me a voice message introducing yourself." I stared at that post for 1 full hour. My hand was shaking like a leaf in the wind, but I pressed the record button. "Hi, I am Marco. I come from the Philippines. I want to learn English." Then I clicked send. I waited and waited, my heart thumping like a drum. She replied, "You're doing great, Marco. You just need practice. I'll help." That message was like winning the lottery. But instead of money, I won hope. She became my first English friend, my first mentor. We never met in real life, but we sent voice messages back and forth. She corrected my pronunciation. She gave me tips. She even sent me free learning materials. Her voice was soft but strong, like a lighthouse in my storm. Soon after, I saw another post in an English group. It said, "Need help transcribing short English videos, $3 per video." I didn't even know what transcribe meant. I looked it up. It said, "To listen and write what is said." I thought, maybe I can do this. I borrowed a headset. I sat in the internet cafe. I listened to a 4-minute video and typed every word. It took me 2 hours. My fingers were stiff, my back hurt, but I sent it. The next day, I got a reply, "Thank you. Payment sent, 3. I looked at the screen. My eyes were wide. I walked into the bathroom and cried. It wasn't about the money. It was about the proof. My English, my broken, messy English, had created income. It was real. From that day, I knew I don't need to beg. I don't need to wait for someone to save me. If I keep learning, I can keep earning. I started seeing myself in a new way, no longer the boy who failed English. I was now Marco, the dreamer. Marco the worker, Marco the speaker. After that first $3 job, something inside me lit up like fireworks on New Year's Eve. It was small money, yes, just the price of a meal. But to me, it felt like I had just earned a golden crown. My English, something that once made me cry in front of a whole classroom, was now helping me earn real dollars. And that gave me something bigger than money, belief. I began to dream bigger. I wanted to learn more words, understand more accents, speak with more people. I told myself, Marco, this is your road now. Don't walk away from it. I started to study business English. I watched videos of smart people talking, CEOs, teachers, speakers. I listened to how they gave ideas, how they asked questions, how they said things like they really meant them. They spoke English not like a school book, but like music. Smooth, strong, simple. I wanted to speak like that too. I made a promise. English is not just a language for me. It is my future. It is my tool. It is the key that will open every locked door. Then one day, I found something amazing, websites where people could work online from anywhere in the world. You didn't need a suit or a fancy degree or a big house. You just needed a skill and a profile, so I made mine. It wasn't fancy. It was simple. I wrote, I can type fast. I can transcribe videos. I can write basic English. I am a good worker. I clicked publish. Then I waited 1 day. Nothing 2 days. Nothing 1 week. Still nothing. Every morning I walked to the internet cafe, opened my inbox with shaking hands, hoping for a message. But every day the screen said the same thing, no new messages. It felt like planting seeds but never seeing any flowers. And each time I saw no reply, a tiny voice inside my head whispered, "You see? They were right. This dream is not for people like you." But I didn't listen. I couldn't. That tiny voice inside me, the one from the rooftop, the one that said, "You are meant for more," was louder. So every day I applied to 10 jobs. No copy-paste. No robot answers. Every message I wrote with heart, with respect, with hope. And then it happened. A man from the US replied to me. He said he needed help writing subtitles for his YouTube videos. He offered $10 per video. He wrote, "You're not perfect, but I like your attitude." That word, attitude, stuck in my heart like a beautiful note in a song. I wasn't perfect, but I had something better, effort. That man became my first real client. I started working for him regularly. 1 video, then 2, then 5. I was earning $40, then $60 in 1 week. I still worked full-time at the hardware store. I still cleaned floors and lifted boxes. But after work, I ran to the cafe like a boy running to his first date. I worked online until 11:00 p.m. Then I walked home, fell asleep, and woke up at 4:00 a.m. to study again. I was tired, but I was also alive. I felt like I had a secret superpower that no one else could see. But life is never a straight road. One client suddenly disappeared and never paid me. Another gave me a bad review because I made grammar mistakes. One day, I missed a deadline because the internet cafe had no power. And worst of all, my mother sat down next to me one evening and said in a soft voice, "Marco, maybe it's time to stop. You are getting tired. We don't want you to waste your money and your health on something that might never work." She wasn't angry. She wasn't mean. She was just scared for me. That moment broke me in half. Because I loved her. I knew she was only trying to protect me. She didn't want me to dream too high and fall too far, but I also knew something else. I had already seen too much. I had spoken to people from Canada, Germany, America, all from a dusty old cafe in my town. I had already earned real money using only my words. I couldn't stop, Because now I had something more powerful than hope. I had proof. One day, I got a message from a company in Singapore. They wanted someone to write product descriptions, simple English, clear and helpful, but there was one big catch. They wanted a voice call. My hands turned cold. I had never done a full phone call in English before. I had only sent messages and short voice notes. I was scared. My heart was doing backflips in my chest. But I said yes. The day of the call, I put on my best shirt. I walked to the cafe. I sat in front of the old computer. I took a deep breath. This is it, I told myself. You've been preparing for this, he called. I answered, Hello, Mr. Ravi, this is Marco speaking. My voice shook a little. I made some mistakes, but I didn't stop. I didn't freeze. I kept talking. I listened. I asked questions. And at the end of the call, he said something I will never forget. Your English isn't perfect, he said, but your spirit is. Let's work together. I wanted to jump. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run outside and tell the whole town, but I just smiled and said, Thank you, sir. I will do my best. That week, I made 120. That was more than I earned in a whole month at the hardware store. And in that moment, I realized something important. English is not about perfect grammar. It's about clear thoughts, honest effort, and real energy. After that phone call with Mr. Ravi, my life felt different. It wasn't about the money. It was about something deeper, something that came from within. I felt proud of myself for the first time in many years. I realized I had stepped into a new world. A world where my English didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be real. It had to be honest. But even with this new confidence, life wasn't easy. There were still days when I wondered if I was making a mistake. I still worked at the hardware store, and every time I walked into that shop, the smell of wood and metal reminded me of my old life. One evening, my mother came to me again. She said, Marco, this dream of yours, it's too big. We don't have enough. Maybe you should stop trying so hard. Her words stung, but I knew what I had to do. I couldn't stop now, so I made a decision. I would work even harder. I would stop waiting for someone to believe in me and start believing in myself. I began waking up at 4:00 a.m. every day without fail. I wrote emails. I answered job posts. I learned new words. I practiced speaking, even if I felt scared, even if I didn't know if anyone would reply. And then, one day, something amazing happened. I got a message from a woman in the UK. She was looking for someone to write content for her new website. The job paid $200. I had never seen that much money in my life. I was terrified. My hands shook when I read the message. I wanted to say, no, thank you, because I didn't feel ready. I didn't think my English was good enough for such a big job, but then I remembered what Mr. Ravi had told me. Your spirit is good. I replied, I can do this. I will give my best. She said, great, let's start. I worked day and night on that project. I wrote emails, descriptions, and even some blog posts. Every word I wrote felt like a little victory. When I finally finished, I sent it to her, holding my breath. I thought, what if she doesn't like it? What if I've made too many mistakes? But she replied with a message that made my heart race. Marco, this is fantastic. It's better than I expected. Thank you. I couldn't believe it. That was the moment I knew I was more than just a hardware store worker. I was a writer. I was a communicator. I was making my own path. But the journey wasn't over. I still had a long way to go. Every day I faced challenges. Sometimes I doubted myself. Sometimes the fear returned. But I kept going. I began to see that every small success was building something bigger. With the money I earned from the UK job, I bought a used laptop. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I also bought a small pocket Wi-Fi device so I could work from home instead of always going to the internet cafe. I set up a tiny desk in the corner of our small house. It wasn't fancy. It didn't have a beautiful chair or perfect lighting, but it was mine. It was my space to work, to dream, and to create. My family started to see me differently. My mother stopped asking me to give up. Instead, she brought me tea when I worked late at night. My father, who still couldn't speak much English, would sit quietly in the living room and watch me work. One day, after finishing a job for a company in Canada, I received $500 in payment. I was sitting at my desk, staring at the screen, not believing my eyes. I refreshed the page. Again and again. $500. The same amount I used to earn in an entire month. That moment changed everything. It wasn't about the money. It was about what it represented. My hard work, my effort, my belief in myself. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. And then I got a message from a company in Singapore. They needed someone to write content for their new product launch. The budget? 2,000. I couldn't believe it. I had never seen so much money in one job, but I didn't run away. I didn't say, "I'm not ready." I said, "Yes, I can do this." I worked for days, writing, editing, rewriting, perfecting my work. Every night I pushed myself harder. Every morning I woke up early to get more done. And when I finally finished, I sent it off with a nervous heart. The client replied, "This is perfect. You've done an amazing job." The payment arrived in my account soon after. $2,000. More than I had ever earned in a year. I cried that night, not out of sadness, but out of gratitude. I had done it. I had made it. The next day, I made a decision. It was time to quit my job at the hardware store. It was time to take a leap of faith. I walked into the store and said to my boss, "Sir, thank you for everything. But I have to go now. I need to build my own life." He looked at me with surprise. "Marco, I'm proud of you," he said. "Go and make something great." I smiled and left the store for the last time. From that moment, I worked full-time online. I focused on building my business. Slowly, my clients grew. My reputation grew. And soon, I was making more money than I ever imagined possible. I began to hire help. I worked with people from Kenya, India, Egypt, people who believed in the same dream. We worked together to create amazing projects. We helped businesses grow. We wrote stories. We built websites. We changed lives. And then, one day, I got a message that changed everything. A startup company from Canada needed someone to write all the content for their website, pitch deck, and email marketing campaign. The budget? $10,000. I was terrified, but I said, yes. I worked for weeks. I met with the client over Zoom. I asked questions. I learned their brand. I wrote every word with care like it was my own business. When I finished, I sent the final project. The client replied, "This is world class. You've done better than agencies I've worked with." That was the moment I knew I was no longer just a freelancer. I was a business. After my first $10,000 project, I could hardly believe what had just happened. It felt like the world had opened up for me. All the late nights, all the hard work, all the tears, it was finally paying off. I knew I couldn't stop now. The road had just started, and there were more challenges to face, but I was ready. With that $10,000, I made a big decision. It was time to start my own company. I knew I didn't want to work for someone else anymore. I wanted to build something from the ground up, something that was mine. I rented a small office. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I bought business cards. I even registered the company name. Every step felt like a giant leap toward my dream. Now I wasn't just writing for clients, I was running a business. I had a small team of people who worked with me. A girl from Kenya helped with proofreading. A guy from Bangladesh did research. A translator from Egypt helped with Arabic documents. We worked together like a small but powerful family. The best part, we worked on big projects for clients all over the world. We created product launches, written content for websites, email marketing campaigns, and much more. Every day, we helped businesses grow. And as they grew, so did we. As I sat at my desk, working with my team, I couldn't help but smile. This was the life I had dreamed of. This was the life I had fought for. But the most beautiful moment came when I realized I could give back. I could help others rise, just like I had. I began teaching my team the same English techniques I had used to build my own business. I showed them how to write clearly, how to communicate confidently, how to use English as a tool to grow their careers. It felt amazing to watch them grow, to see their dreams start to take shape just like mine had. One day, a new challenge arrived. A startup company from the United States contacted me. They needed someone to write the full content for their website, their pitch deck, and their marketing materials. The budget? $10,000. I was scared, but I said, yes, let's do this. I worked day and night, planning, writing, revising. I worked with my team, each of us adding our skills to the project. After 3 weeks, we delivered everything. And when the client saw the final work, they were amazed. This is world class, they said. We've worked with agencies, but you've done it better than they ever could. That moment was a turning point for me. I realized I wasn't just helping people with their English. I was helping them achieve their dreams. I wasn't just building websites or writing content. I was helping people build their futures. A few months later, my company hit a huge milestone. We reached $100,000 in annual revenue. I couldn't believe it. I was earning more than doctors, engineers, and bankers in my town. And I had done it all with nothing but a second-hand laptop, a notebook that once said, "Hi, my name is Marco. I want to learn English," and a dream that burned in my heart. One day, I took my family out to dinner. I had saved up enough money to take them to a nice restaurant in our town. It was the kind of place we had never been before. The tables were covered with white cloth, and there were candles on every table. When we sat down, my mother looked around nervously. She kept adjusting her dress as if she wasn't sure she belonged there. My father, who still couldn't speak English, sat quietly, smiling with pride, but unsure of what was happening. I ordered the food in English. I didn't need to translate. It felt natural now. When the food arrived, I stood up. My family looked at me, waiting. I raised my glass and said, "I know you didn't always understand what I was doing, but thank you for believing in me. I want to tell you something. We're okay now. You don't have to worry anymore." My mother started to cry. My father, who didn't show much emotion, simply nodded, his eyes full of tears. We spent the night laughing, eating, and talking about the future. It was a beautiful moment, but it was also a moment of peace. I had finally reached the place where I could give back to my family, to the people who had always supported me. But this wasn't the end of my journey. It was just another step. I knew I had to keep pushing. There were still bigger dreams waiting for me. I wanted to help more people. I wanted to teach others what I had learned so they could break free from their struggles too. I wanted to show the world that anything is possible if you don't give up. I still remember the first sentence I learned in English. Hi, my name is Marco. I want to learn English. That sentence was broken. It was full of mistakes, but it was the sentence that started it all. It was the key that opened my door to a new life. And now I stand here today with a business, a team, and a life I could never have dreamed of. I'm no longer the boy who failed English in school. I'm no longer the boy who worked in a hardware store, hoping for something better. I'm a man who built his future with words, with English, with the belief that one sentence, one brave moment, can change everything. So, if you're reading this and you're struggling with your English, if you feel like your dreams are too big, if you feel like you're not enough, listen to me. You are enough. You are not weak. You are not behind. You are not alone. If I can do this, so can you. Because I started with just one sentence, broken, shaky, full of mistakes. But that sentence opened the door to my future. And I promise you, your sentence will open doors for you too, so don't stop now. Say one sentence, then another. Keep going, even when it's hard. Because one day, the world will listen to you just like it's listening to me now.
Hey, if you learned something new today, please give this video a like. Write your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second and it really helps to create more English videos for you. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.